like you to come up. We're privileged to have one of the candidates who are running for senator against, it's probably going to be Cory Booker, who does not deserve to even be thought of as our next senator. So Dr. Alieta Eak is going to come up and tell us why we need to vote for her and be in her ball camp.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear?
No.
Nope.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Can't hear?
No, we can't.
That's good.
My name is Dr. Alieta Eak, and I'd like to be the first woman senator from the state of New Jersey. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States. Secure the blessings of liberty. Do you agree that our federal government has lost its way?
Yes.
That's why you're here. You're the Tea Party. And I find the friends that I have are the Tea Party. And I'm afraid the regular Republicans are not really on my side. The IRS scandal. Certain groups are given certain scrutiny, and there are people who are deemed to be possible enemies of the government. Is that securing the blessings of liberty?
No.
How about the NSA scandal, where the personal phone records are being taped and saved, and they say, oh, well, we're just having in case we need them in the future. What for? Is that securing the blessings of liberty?
No.
Then we have Obamacare. And let me quote from a fellow physician. He said, the federal government will be defining services, setting standards, establishing committees, calling for reports, deciding who gets in and who gets out, what they get and what they don't, even getting into the teaching of medicine, and all the time imposing a federally administered financial budget on our houses of mercy and healing. That was Dr. Edward Annis in 1962, when the government was proposing the King-Anderson bill to take care of the poor and the elderly. He further warned that these programs, which later became Medicare and Medicaid, would be the forerunner of a different system of medicine for all Americans. The King-Anderson crowd intends to take us all the way down the road to a new system of medicine for everybody. Is that securing the blessings of liberty? It's not the job of the federal government to give people personal benefits, to take from one citizen and give to another. Even if it sounds kind and compassionate, even if it starts out well, these giant programs have careened out of control, bankrupting the citizens, threatening our very economy. And the federal government can only respond by clamping down and taking away more of our liberties. June 3rd started out as a normal day for me. My husband and I started a non-government free clinic to care for the poor, where we volunteer our time. Each of us do 6 hours a week. Other doctors volunteer, nurses volunteer, everybody volunteers. I have been taking care of one patient who was especially dejected. She works as a teacher's aide, and she told me that they had just called her into the office to say that her 37-hour-a-week job was about to be cut down to 29 and a half. Why? Because of Obamacare. The employer couldn't afford to buy her insurance, and they couldn't afford the $2,000 fine, and that was their solution. And I couldn't really blame the employer. It's not easy to have any kind of business in this state or this country. But Obamacare was about to make this woman's life more difficult. Well, then at the end of the day, I got a call from a board member of the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, of which I was the president last year. He called me from California, and he says, there's a Senate seat that just opened up. Take it. Try to get, just run. and we'll do all we can to help you. So I thought for a little bit, and I thought, well, maybe I do have something to offer, and maybe I can bring a different perspective, different than the seasoned politicians who are all running against me, who are just, that's their job. They're politicians. They're always working to keep their job and to expand it. We've got two that are running that have been in Congress for the past 20 years, and now they want to do something different in the Senate? What are we talking about? And then we have one politician who's running that made $1.3 million in speaking fees, while his constituents come to our clinic because they can't get medical care in their city, the Detroit of New Jersey. Well, we started this clinic 10 years ago because we saw the Medicaid system was really failing. People couldn't find a physician because the payments are so low and the paperwork is just so onerous. And yet the taxpayers are being fleeced by this system. And I call it trickle-down charity, where all the money is taken from the taxpayers, the government and the administration and all the bureaucrats keep 90%, and maybe 10% trickles down to actually care for the poor. And that is just a ridiculous way of handling it. Instead, these people come to our clinic and we get to hear their stories. We get to see and feel what they're going through. My primary opponent had a surrogate the other day that came in and said, if he got a chance to be in the Senate, he would slash the Medicaid program. And what he meant was, and this surrogate said that I get up in the morning and I'm at work at 7, but these people are in bed still at 10 o'clock in the morning, as if they can't find a job. They're poor on purpose and they're just lazy. Well, let me tell you, these people we see in the clinic, they would love to have a job. They would love to have a way to earn a living. They don't want to be there, and we help them. One lady came in, this is maybe about a year ago, and she was all despondent because her boyfriend was in prison and she was about to lose her apartment. And then she said, well, my cousin, he had a drug overdose on the floor next to me, and then he went to the hospital. I go, wow, how is he? Oh, we're going to see him next. He was let out of the hospital, and I did get to see him next. And you get to listen to these people, like, what drives you? Well, this very woman was back in my regular office today, paying for my service now, because now she had a job, her husband was out of jail, he had a job, and we had just helped them in a tough spot, and we brought them out of that. That is the way the communities help, with real charity, not the government charity. Because I'm afraid government charity just traps people where they stay. And let me tell you, today we had 20 new people register to vote who had never voted in their entire life. They are so excited that I'm running for the U.S. Senate. And you know what they see? They see hope. They see that there's something that can be done. Now, can you imagine just all the other people who are running, getting people like this excited? People who are minorities, people who are Hispanic? No, these people are really, really excited. So we have a shot. And the way we have a shot at winning this is if you help me to get the word out. Tell people who I am. Tell them I'm different. Tell them that I'm not going to be one of these career politicians who just is always working to get the next election. No, I want to go there to do something, not to be something. So what qualifies me to be a U.S. Senator? Well, I've been told I have no experience. Well, what kind of experience are they looking for? Are they looking for somebody who just put the whole country into debt and are putting our kids into debt and are spending $1.40 for every dollar we bring in and are setting up more and more programs and are making more and more regulations that I've been hearing about? And it's true. They're choking us, and they're just choking the people. My name is Alieta Eak, but my grandmother's name was Alieta Otis. And my ancestor was Mercy Otis Warren, who was she was the wife of the governor at the time of the Revolution. She wrote a history of the Revolution, and she talks about the Tea Party, the first Tea Party. And she says there the sword was unsheathed, that would not be resheathed until the 13 colonies were free. They felt the oppression of those swarms of officers who would come and harass our people and eat of their substance. Does that sound like the IRS today?
Yeah.
That's right. That's what's happening. And I think of the story of Les Mis. I think of Washington DC. It's like the Versailles of France before the Revolution, when there were the people that were just living high, and they were the greatest real estate increases are occurring in Washington DC right now. And so they're just really enjoying themselves while the people back home are suffering. And I'm thinking, wow, I want to go there and just make DC smaller, just cut it down so that my people back in my state and the rest of the states can have freedom again, and then their families can prosper, and they won't have to be dependent on the government. Well, I do have a wealth of experience. I don't want them to get away with saying that, because I know about Obamacare, I know about caring for the poor, and I know about raising a family. And I have 5 children, and I know that it's harder for them than it was for us when we were growing up. We could always look for a brighter future as we got an education. The education wasn't that expensive, and we could better ourselves. Our kids are hitting a mountain of debt. And now, with this Obamacare, look what's going to happen. The average young person spends $850 in medical care every year. He's going to be asked to now purchase Obamacare insurance, which will cost him $200 a month. And that'll be a skimpy plan, which means he's still going to pay $850 for his medical care. But he is being asked to subsidize the older people. That's the whole theory of Obamacare. Everybody chips in and all these bills get paid. But there's so much fraud. One of the reasons why people have learned about me, and I've talked to a lot of groups across the state about the plan that we have here in New Jersey to just cut out that bureaucracy, have a lot of clinics like we have, and then we're going to ask the state to subsidize the medical malpractice of doctors who donate 4 hours a week. Orthopedic surgeons, OBGYNs, neurosurgeons, all of those doctors who could be really donating their time to take care of people who truly cannot take care of themselves. And instead of having it run through this big bureaucracy, which will grossly underpay them, and then they don't want to do it because they have full liability, just cut that. And it's a plan that actually has bipartisan support. That's the other thing. My primary opponent says he doesn't want to work with Democrats at all. He just wants to fight. And so isn't that just what we need down in Washington, D.C., more fighters? That's what they've been doing for the past 20, 25 years. They've been fighting, and we've accomplished very, very little, and the country has gotten worse. Well, I will work with anybody who has a common sense answer and who really cares. And believe it or not, in both parties, there are people that care about solving the problems. I'll find them, and I would work with them. The other issues I believe in the sanctity of human life. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. We don't need any more laws to restrict the law-abiding citizens. And we need to just reduce that tremendous government waste and spending. So here I am. I'm running. I'm a mother. I'm a doctor, small business owner. I'm running for the Senate. And I need your vote, and I need your support. If you could just get out your checkbooks and help me, Alieta Eak for Senate, that would help me get this message out. My problem is I don't have a lot of name recognition, but we're working on it. I'm going to be on News 12, New York, Power and Politics this weekend. So I will just tell your friends, watch that, and then we'll get it up onto the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. My kids are just great at that, and they actually have this system where if you put in Lonigan for Senate and you click on it, the first thing that pops up is Alieta Eak for Senate. Now, I didn't know how they did that, but they did. So this primary, if I have a shot, this is it, because the primary is August 13th. What a weird day for a primary in the middle of the summer, so only you motivated people are going to be voting. And so that's why I'm going to really count on you to help me get the vote out. And then October 16th, whoever my opponent is, I think I can beat them because I've got, I will have the national support at that point if I can win this primary. I just want to finish with a quote from a famous writer. He says, if you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. And I can just think of America the way it used to be. That shining city on the hill, we could do it again. But we can't forget the poor, and we can't look at them as just people to be brushed aside, and people who are just, they're poor for reasons that are all their own fault. Because most of the time you'll find out that that's not the case. So as we care about the poor, and really as communities solve their problems and help to lift them out, everybody will be improved in that situation. We'll get rid of these huge entitlement programs. And Medicaid is the one that I've really focused on because it's such a wasteful program. $13 billion out of a $33 billion budget. It's just way too much in this state of New Jersey, and the rest of the country is the same thing. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
What would you do to, I'm not going to say create jobs, because really government shouldn't be in the business of creating jobs, but what would you do to improve the job situation?
Well, if our plan of just reducing that awful burden of the Medicaid system, which is so inefficient, went into effect, that would lower the taxes by I'm talking $13 billion. And so say we lowered it by $5 billion, our state budget would be balanced, we could lower taxes. The other thing that would happen with that plan is that doctors would not be doing all the defensive testing that we do, which is considered to be about 30%. We never get sued for ordering too many tests. It's always that one test we didn't get, and that's what they will get us for. So rather than using common sense, we just kind of knee-jerk order too many tests. That would stop it. That would lower all the insurance premiums of everybody. That would lower town costs. That would lower our taxes, and that's what would increase prosperity in New Jersey and the rest of the country.
Would you support some sort of a tort reform like they had in Texas?
This is tort reform in a sense. Without calling it that, I think in New Jersey we would struggle very hard getting tort reform. And remember now, I would be a U.S. Senator, and I'm not going to be able to affect what happens specifically in New Jersey. However, here's what I would do. Half the Medicaid money comes from the federal government. I would just grant that right back, no strings attached, so that we in New Jersey take care of our poor ourselves instead of having all these rules and regulations that we have to follow and beg the federal government to get our own money back. And eventually, I would say that we shouldn't even take that money in the first place.
Dr. Eck, I would call what you had just said, tort reform, because the problem is what we see on the television every single day. Have you had a problem with works with asbestos? See us, we'll get you money. Have you had this type of surgery? See us, we'll get you money. And in reality, the only person who gets money on those law firms, the people don't really get it, and in many cases, the case should never be taken. Yes, there are people who are not getting proper care, but we need real tort reform, and stupid lawsuits have to be done away with.
Yeah, the way that this would work
and
is...
no attorney getting the kind of retainer agreement.
The way this would work is now, if a person does have an injury that, and yes, doctors do make mistakes. I'm not gonna lie. And if they do, and there's an injury, now they have to sue the state of New Jersey. And I think the bar will be a little bit higher than what is occurring now. So that'll solve the problem. I think over here.
Do you support Ted Cruz's abolish the IRS?
That's a great idea. Really, there was nothing in the Constitution that gives the authority, well, except for the 16th Amendment, which was a big mistake, of reaching right into the pockets of the citizens. They should have to get their money from the states. The states would collect the taxes and then send it up to the federal government. That would downsize DC greatly. And that's what needs to happen, I think. Anybody else over here?
Hi. I think you indicated that you thought you could get the support of the minorities. What makes you think you'll get more support from the minorities than the opposition?
Well, like I say, what makes me think I could get more support of minorities than my opposition? And that's just what I experienced today. We had 20 minorities sign up to register to vote so they could vote for me. As the word gets out that I stand for real compassion. I don't stand for these big government programs which have failed the people. I don't think that there's the big programs in Newark and in Elizabeth are really helping the people pull out of poverty. And I'm afraid that the Democrats are using the poor. But I'm also afraid the Republicans tend to ignore the poor.
Yep.
And so that's what I would like to see change.
I think I would challenge you on that. It's not that the Republicans ignore the poor, it's that the Democrats give so much to the poor that the poor cannot afford to withdraw their support to the Democrats.
They feel dependent. They turn them into dependence on the government, and that is true. But the idea of just slashing the programs and letting these people fend for themselves is not a correct way to go.
But actually, and not that I'm defending the Republicans, but we've seen the ways that a lot of, we've seen the waste that has taken place and the abuse that has taken place. And I wouldn't say that the Republicans ignore the poor. I would say that the Republicans
Are frustrated.
Are not only frustrated, but feel for the people who pay for all that. So,
Absolutely. Right, I'm telling you, this trickle-down charity is fleecing the taxpayers. And so that's why if we came to community charities...
But if you, just, maybe a word of advice, as a Republican, I am tired of being told I don't care for the poor. I care for the poor, but like everybody else, I expect everybody to do their bit for the country and not allow just a certain segment of the people do it for everybody. So,
Yeah,
with all due respect,
I understand what you're saying.
Because you offend people like me who are Republican. I've been Republican.
She's not talking about the.
No, what I'm trying to say...
She's talking about the government.
But you know what? The people hear that, and the media takes that, and we know that the media will take it, twist it, and I'm just
to. I haven't seen, though, Republicans or Democrats come up with really solid solutions to solve the problem. And they'll tweak around the edges, and they'll make the assumption that government's job still is to care for the poor. And I'm afraid that it's not, because it's not the government's job.
It's ours, but again, I wouldn't.
Okay, you do care. We just need to come up with real solutions. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, you're right.
I heard you on the John Vanman show a couple weeks ago, and I was thrilled. I like your idea of helping the poor by opening your clinic. Me and my husband, we help the poor by giving to the food banks, giving to the church.
That's right.
That's the way we think it should be done.
Our church, yeah, okay.
I just want to know, are you going to get a coach for debating? Because I'm just afraid they're going to rip you up.
It's a half-hour debate that's being set up by the League of Women Voters, and I'll be coached.
Oh, and we'll be there.
You'll help me out. No, I'm not afraid. I've debated before.
What are your feelings on the immigration problem? I mean, immigration sounds very heartwarming, wonderful.
Right.
I have a grandson. I would ask him, yes, it's nice. When you have people come to your door, knock on your door, and you invite them in. That's wonderful. But then do you allow them to start running your affairs?
That's
Do you
right.
allow them to spend your money? Do you allow them to vote for who's going to decide the rest of their lives? what would you stand on the immigration problem right now, where we have Marco Rubio?
I would have voted against that bill because it doesn't secure the border first. And until you secure the border, there's no solution that that you can come up with.
Does it help immigrants? Does it help the Russians, the Afghanis, the Iranians? I think it only helps a certain section who have come in illegally and
Right.
doing every other group out.
Yeah, obviously, we're a nation of immigrants, we need to come in legally. And then our social service system cannot tolerate everybody just flooding it. And then if we don't remain strong, we won't be strong for anyone.
I would make a suggestion to your opponents that are running, when they talk about immigration, and it's nice to have them come here and everything, ask them if they lock their door on their house. And if they do, why?
I know, and how come there's a fence around the White House?
They lock their doors, but they leave our borders open.
That's right, that's right. Yeah, why do we lock our doors, but yet we leave the borders open?
Do you have a position on drug policy?
Drug policy. Yeah, let me think. What is my position on drug policy?
Legalize it, it's just costing us too much money to have it illegal.
Yeah, oh, that's a tough one. Like marijuana, especially. I mean, we tried prohibition, it didn't work, and it just made for more illegal activity. I tend to agree with Ron Paul on that one. Like, if you liberalize the drug laws and stop making everybody into criminals, in fact, figure out a way to tax it, whatever, you might be able to solve the problem better. But the reason why there are so many drug addicts is because there's a lot of money in selling drugs, and therefore the pushers are able to push it.
Well, if it were legal, there wouldn't be so much money.
Exactly, exactly.
But it would be a controlled substance, just as alcohol was set by the ABC board, and other drugs, you get them in the pharmacy. That's how prohibition got their liquor during that time.
The only problem with that, though, is if you legalize it, you're going to cut off the money from the dealers, so then they're going to start pushing the more harder stuff. That's the only problem that you...
I mean, if you legalize marijuana.
If you legalize marijuana, they're going to start pushing the cocaine, the heroin, and everything else. So then that's going to be a bigger problem.
And here's the thing.
I say legalize marijuana, it might end up with legalize for you. You're going to cut all the money from your drug dealers, and then they're going to start pushing more to sell the cocaine, sell the heroin, the harder drugs, to make up the money that they're losing. So that's the garage sale problem.
Let's direct questions to the doctor.
Anybody else?
What do we need to do if we are with you, other than writing out a check? What else can we do for you?
Go to the website, eckforsenate.com, and sign in. Just say what you could do as far as volunteering to help get the vote out. I'm going to be up on Saturday at the Bark in the Park with Mark Levin. I think there'll be a lot of friends up there. Is that a good idea? And just there'll be people around with our T-shirts, and then just handing out. So come. It sounds like it's a fun time. And Mark Levin will be there. If I could get his ear, that would be a good thing, right? If I could get some of that media, earned media, instead of having to pay for it all.
Where is the Bark in the Park? Where is it?
Where is it?
It's on his website.
It's on his website, yeah. Bark in the Park. I found it last night, easy.
Okay. Have you contacted Fox News, Sean Hannity? Have you asked them for any time?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of television, mostly in New Jersey. I'm going to be going into New York. The Fox 9, or no, yeah, Fox 9 is going to Fox 5 program. I was down in Atlantic City. I'll do the one in News 12, and I've been on radio programs, some good radio spots. So, and that way I'm trying to get out. I'll try to get more on 101.5 where everybody's listening. I'll I'll try to talk more in there, just to get people to listen to me and just see that I believe in liberty. A lot of the tea parties across the country, the national tea parties, have kind of written New Jersey off. So you can contact them and say, hey, you know, we could win this. We really could win this in this special election, which is just great timing. I mean, October 16th, who in the world's going to vote? Except for you people.
Well, actually, you're right, you say that, it's only gonna be people.
People who really care.
Yeah.
So I think this is a shot, and so we need the support of them and get the National Tea Party, the Tea Party Express, get them behind us. And because I understand the Tea Party.
Are you gonna have any walking, I mean, Point Pleasant, you can go to the beach, walk Point Pleasant Beach?
Yeah, there's certain, like Ocean Grove, there are certain areas that are probably very heavily Republican that I could go, and yeah, we're planning that type of thing. And we could have it on the website, meet us, we're going to be here in so place, and we'll try to spread the word. Yeah, they're passing out our little palm cards that we've made up. And yeah, any way you can help us, we appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you.